As America's largest venture firm for individual investors, their network of over 600,000 members serves as the backbone for their capital, deal flow, and value-add services to portfolio companies. Welcome to Alumni Ventures, and welcome to one more episode of Builder Nation. For today's interview, we have Tom Meyer, senior partner at this exceptional venture firm. So welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Lisa, thanks for having me here. I'm a managing partner at Alumni Ventures. Alumni Ventures, as you said, not the largest, but one of the most active venture capital firms in the world. We do about 1 to 2 deals a day. We've got about 20 funds. I manage one of them, Nassau Street Ventures, and we invest across all sectors and stages around the world. I've been doing this since 2018. I've done over 100 investments here. My background prior to that was a little bit of everything in venture. I was CEO of 3 different venture-backed companies. I worked in venture capital. I worked in banking. I did a lot of corporate development, buying and selling companies. So I know how to raise money and buy companies and sell companies. And now I'm having fun back on the investing side, backing fantastic founders and teams in great companies around the world.
You guys are based in Boston, right?
I'm based in Boston. We have offices across the U.S., East Coast, West Coast, Chicago, Texas. Our headquarters are in New Hampshire. We were started by a Dartmouth guy who never left New Hampshire.
What will you say is the best part of the actual job, and how's your day-to-day like?
It's a fantastic job. I had a friend say, I'm like a fish who found his water. Every day, I'm just talking to fascinating people on the investing side. Investors in the fund are all fascinating. And then mainly I'm talking to CEOs of amazing companies. And it's so encouraging to see all the great technology that's coming. And you're seeing that too, right? You've spoken to over 100 executives, and I looked at some of the work that you've done, and you're seeing the slice of amazing stuff that's coming. It's really encouraging, isn't it?
It's really exciting, and seeing all the companies and getting to know them and their projects. You're doing this every day. So is there something specific that you look for in a startup?
I was trained early on in venture capital and look at 3 things: the team, the market, and the product, in that order. So especially at the early stage, you really bet on the team. It's all about the team, because they may pivot and have a different product or different market, right? Later stage, then it becomes more about the financials and the cash flow and stuff. Early stage, it's about the team. And then we look at the market, make sure it's big enough. It can be a great product, but if it's not going to be used by a lot of people, it's less interesting for our criteria. Itself, obviously, the product's going to be fantastic, but you look at, is it competitively differentiated? Does it work well? Do people love it? Does it make a difference? Those are the main 3. And then also we look at the deal terms. We do a lot of deals, so we know what's overpriced or have a better feel for what's overpriced, underpriced. Look at the deal terms, make sure it's favorable. We're a co-investor, so the 5th criteria would be like looking at who we're investing alongside.
It must be exciting. Is there a specific time when they should reach out?
They can talk anytime, but it is fun to see it grow. I was talking this morning with a sharp woman who's thinking about starting her next company. So it's almost pre-idea stage. And we had a great conversation about market stuff, and she doesn't even have the product yet. But there's the perfect example of the first criteria is the team. And here's a woman who I admire, and not even pre-company, pre-idea. She got a bunch of ideas, and I'm going to stay close to her. That was an introduction. We can't do much until there's like a deal on the table, but I'm happy to talk to anyone at any stage.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing that as well, Tom. And have you guys only invested in U.S. companies?
We're mainly in the U.S. We try and model our portfolio to be reflective of the venture capital industry as a whole, almost like an index fund would do. And most of the venture activity is in the U.S. When you look at PitchBook, who ranks it, we model after them. And so we're mainly U.S., but also do a lot internationally. We're in What 3 Words in the U.K. It's a mathematician company, super cool. We're in Stable, which is an option trading platform in the UK. We've done deals in India, Israel, Latin America. We're in Moons, which is like a Invisalign for Latin America. They're doing
I didn't know that. Yeah.
That's one of our investments. Yeah, they're doing fantastic.
Wow, that's a huge company. Really interesting.
I invested in them, and then I got dental trays for myself.
Yeah. So it's been 5 years or so, and you guys have How many companies?
I've invested in over 100 companies. Alumni Ventures has a portfolio of over 1,000 companies.
Wow. And what about the pitch? What would you say makes a great pitch?
I see a lot of pitches, so I've got some views on that. I don't want to criticize anybody. I just shared what my criteria is, right? The team, market, product, what they're raising. So the quicker they get to that, I think a good pitch tells a story. My pet peeve is people focus too much on the market. They have 10 slides. The first 5 slides are, have one this week, why make a product for the elderly? The elderly is a big market. It's growing. I got it. I know that. There's a lot of old people, right? Tell me what the product is. Get to that. What are you? The Uber for something, right? What is it? So that helps me out frame it, and then I get there.
I know that most of your companies survived the pandemic. How do you assess and manage supply chain risk within your portfolio companies?
That's interesting. Our portfolio did great through the pandemic. We're very fortunate. I don't lost any to the pandemic. We had a company that's selling products, and they had already moved their supply chain from China to Latin America. And they were very pleased when that whole supply chain shut down to have that. We're seeing some people onshoring stuff now. I still think there's opportunities to work globally. So we're doing a lot of software, so supply chain is less of an issue. We do some consumer goods and some material goods, some deep tech, which has some hardware components. And one company that had to reconfigure their product a number of times because engineering around the chip shortage globally, and they design around different chips that they could source. Everyone got through it, but yeah, if you're bringing back some frightful memories, that was a tough time.
I know that your role is also responsible for supporting the Princeton entrepreneurship community. So how is that like?
I'm very fortunate. Princeton's got a great ecosystem for entrepreneurship. So Alumni Ventures has funds for a lot of the top schools, and I manage the one for Princeton. There's Nassau Hall behind me. And so our fund for Princeton alumni to invest in, and other friends, people want to invest, can come in. We invest in any company, doesn't need to have a Princeton connection. So reach out to me if you have a good idea. But as you say, Princeton specifically really changed the last 10 years. It used to be very academically focused. And if you're doing research, it was pure research. I will not sully that by making a company around that. And they really changed where now if you got a cool idea at the university, what are you going to do with it? What sort of company are you going to build around that? I'm not associated with the university in any way. We're independent, but I work very closely with them. I'll be down there this weekend. I'll be hosting a pitch competition. Anyone is welcome, Princeton or not.
Okay, so you basically talk with young entrepreneurs. That must be quite a thing because I believe that the market has changed and young people have exciting ideas and they're like all over creating and building and all of that.
I think of myself when I was young, and like one of the strengths that you have is you don't know what you can't do. And I did some stuff that I can't believe I got away with, flying into foreign countries and setting off big projects. The younger people have that advantage, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so they're starting on ideas that I've been seeing kicked around for 20 years. And they're like, we're going to make this data integration better. I'm like, oh, that's a problem. And then they go and they do it and they solve it. So I love being excited by people taking on new challenges.
I would like to ask you, what's next for Nassau Ventures?
We're always looking for great deals. We launch a new fund every year so that people can reallocate annually with us. And so it never stops, which is great. Any promising venture capital company that you hear about or your viewers hear about, please reach out to me. And we'd love to support diverse founders, women founders, clean tech, social impact, anything, but I'd like to make an impact in the world if we can. Please keep me in mind as you hear about interesting companies.
We'll make sure to do that then. And do you have any advice for future entrepreneurs or people starting on this path?
Yeah, I'd say dive in. I'd say jump to it. I think when people are thinking about future entrepreneurs, thinking about starting a company, sometimes they'll get too hung up on the planning stage. Let me get the right web page first, etc. I say jump in and get a customer. So as quick as you can, get in front of your customer. Don't wait until everything's perfect. Get there, go out and talk to customers. I counseled a company once that was building a new product and they were planning. And I'm like, you got to get some customers on the table. And they went down to New York and just with a deck, they pitched a very large company we all know. And they got a $300,000 order from them, partially prepaid. And if you're a startup, that's the best source of money, customer money. You don't have to repay it, right? So don't spend your time pitching VCs. Go start pitching customers, get some orders in, if you can do it. That's the best thing. So I say, if you're going to start a company, jump in and get in front of customers.
Amazing. Great piece of advice. Thank you so much for sharing, Tom. And for being here with us, for sharing your experiences. Do you have any social media handles? Where can people find you or the venture?
I'm on LinkedIn, so follow me there. And if you got a good idea, you can email me on tom@av.vc.
And remember, guys, that you can also find more information, interesting articles, interesting interviews, just like this one with Tom, directly on our website, ControlHub.com/builder-nation. We would love to hear from you. And once again, Tom, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your experiences with us, and for joining the podcast today.
Eliza, thank you very much. Great to be here. Appreciate it.